Would you kill yourself
on the Alex Pretti thing? So you think it was a bad shooting?
Of course. Yeah.
After I saw more, I don't know now because the info that has come out since, right?
Okay.
Because initially, when you sent me the video, Kyle, I think it was Saturday when it happened. I watched it quick, and I agreed with you and Chiz. I'm like, that doesn't look good to me. But that was quick. I was trying to finish flooring and everything, and then I watched it more over the next couple days, and it does seem complicated because the initial narrative of he was like a random protester, like going out to buy donuts or whatever, and they murdered him, didn't end up being true, right? Like he was seemingly involved in repeat conflicts with ICE and federal agents.
So you're talking about the event 12 days later where he kicked the taillight of a truck?
12 days earlier, yeah, where he kicked you said later, but 12 days earlier.
He didn't do anything later, he's dead. But 12 days before he kicked an SUV. So you're talking about that?
Where he kicked the SUV and he spit on the agents and he was screaming at them, assault me,
the SUV, to be fair.
assault me. Well, he was trying to spit on the agents. They closed the door too quick. But he was screaming at them, assault me. And so this doesn't seem like someone who's doing well mentally. And he's repeatedly engaging in conflicts with federal agents while armed, which is a dangerous thing to do.
What was the second time that he did?
The second time was when he ran in and tried to unarrest that lady and started shoving people. That led up to him being shot.
Oh, the repeat was the day they killed him.
The repeat was the day that he was killed. Yes. Okay. The first time was when and so but the narrative was this was just a nurse who was out and about.
That's the problem is both sides of every conversation that comes up, people don't do like their own housekeeping from their perspective. So they'll try, and I'm just saying, using, not this, but a hypothetical example, like he was the best person, would never do anything. Sure. And then you find one thing and then it's like, oh, look at that. Now everything is, and it's like, I see a lot of times people have conversations and they'll use language in crazy ways, whether this person's a Nazi or racist or whatever, the words get thrown around so much. And this is a situation where people get caught up on the language because now, like, I could see what you're saying because I saw newer videos where it's like, oh, look at that. Okay, I get it. But the shooting him is there's no way it should have been there. It never should. Any person can throw on a ICE cosplay and actually go around with a gun and go up to people like, a motherfucker, get the fuck out of the car. I don't have to answer shit. I don't have a badge number. I'm not a police officer. I'll shoot you right now. Like, and with guns out, guns everywhere. It's super crazy.
I don't know what the first event has to do with the second event. I mean, it might speak to his character to you, but I don't know how it influenced the events of his shooting because the agents didn't recognize him. There was no paperwork filed him from the first event. The only person injured was Alex. They broke his rib on the first event. And then the second event, what I see is him holding a camera and them walking up to him and shoving a lady down. And when he literally tries to help a lady who's been assaulted up from the ground, they pepper spray him. And then they tackle him to the ground and start beating him with a canister of pepper spray. And then quickly there are 7 officers surrounding him, beating him. One of them's like swinging underneath, getting like hooks in, like uppercutting him. Then a guy grabs his gun off of him. And then 3 seconds later, they shoot him 10 times in the back.
Were they pistol whipping him? I didn't Oliver Stone this video quite as much as I did the Renee
Good
Good
one.
But I thought they were.
I didn't see a pistol whipping, but I saw them beat him with a can of bear spray. It's got a pistol grip, and then the canister's in front.
That must be what I'm looking at. Yeah. So they were beating him with the can, and they were kicking him, and they were punching him, and it was 7v1, and then they shot him 10 times after they disarmed him.
So what was your, help me understand what you saw? Because to me, it looked like he went, well, no, I was going to say what I saw,
Kyle,
and then you can, by everyone. So to me, it looked like he went over there trying to, and you said to help a lady, but he's interfering in an arrest, a legal arrest, or a legal.
That was an arrest when they shoved her?
They were going to detain her because she was disrupting. They can't arrest her. They can detain her though.
What were they can keep her for?
They were trying to keep people from disrupting their lawful operation to arrest illegals.
They're on the sidewalk yelling and recording.
And so when he steps in, he is obstructing. That's not a death sentence. That doesn't mean you should be killed. But when you charge, so basically, like that video of him behaving that way. I disagree with
your premise from the start. Like,
okay,
there are two people standing there. It looked like they were one step off the sidewalk and in front of a car, right? Mm-hmm. Do you remember it that way too?
Yes.
So they're not like obstructing anything. He's recording and she's standing there, and they shove her to the ground for no reason, seemingly.
We don't see what led up to it, but I would sign on to that too. Like, I'm not saying I'm not dancing on his grave. I'm not glad this guy's dead. Like, it should have gone differently. It would have gone differently if Minneapolis PD wasn't told to stand down for weeks and he was actually arrested for assaulting officers the first time with a weapon.
That would have changed the events?
Because he would have been in
jail.
Of course,
he would.
For
kicking a taillight.
For kicking a taillight and
you don't think
at federal agents?
You don't get bail for kicking taillights?
Dude, he did it while armed. That really racks up.
Does that do that? Does that change it?
Are you serious? Do you not think there's a difference between unarmed and armed robbery?
It's not an armed robbery if he doesn't pull the gun out.
Where's the robbery come from?
No. I was establishing like there is a difference in crimes based on armed versus unarmed. And so when you federal agent
pull the gun out,
armed,
and then no one sees the gun. He didn't use the gun to kick the taillight out. He didn't pistol whip the taillight. The whole taillight thing is nonsense and just a distraction.
Yeah, Taylor, I think you're off target. Like, I'm thinking in my head, I have a leather bit in my pocket. It always lives there. And if they were like, Woody kicked out this taillight with a knife on him, it'd be like, the knife is not related to the taillight kicking. And I think the gun is the same.
I think that he was trying to disrupt ICE. He was
on the day they killed him, or on the first day?
Both days. Yeah. And this is another thing that like adds to will kind of destroy the initial narrative that he was a random protester, is he has had repeat conflicts, violent conflicts with ICE. And he shows up exactly at the moments where these things happen, because he was one of those guys in the now leaked Signal chat where he was getting information, were hundreds, if not thousands, of these leftists about where to go. Because I don't know if you guys read that Signal chat thing and you're seeing what's leaked. Basically, the lieutenant governor of Minnesota and a bunch of elected Democrats and Minneapolis PD, federal agents, journalists from Reuters and other networks, both local and national, were all in a chat, and they were sharing information about where ICE would be. And so he had repeat conflicts with them because he was in there getting tips. And that's why, like, it wasn't post-fact protests like waving signs. It's like as they're trying to do something, there's already a crowd. It's because they were leaking the information to them. And so it turned the narrative away from random protester to organized agitator. And I'm not happy he's dead. I'm not going to dance in his grave the way some people do with deaths of people they disagree with. I think that's gross and you shouldn't do that. But when you charge at federal agents and they know you're armed and you're behaving erratically, you do introduce the possibility of death for yourself. Yes.
So I'm charged at a federal agent?
He ran at the federal agent, started shoving and pushing, trying to separate the lady from the ICE agent.
You saw him run at a federal agent.
He ran at the lady to push her back. And then what looked like is that he pushed the lady, then he got pepper sprayed, and almost looked like he accidentally grabbed the lady and pulled her up, thinking she was an ICE agent.
You should definitely defend those murderers then. This is a great point of view on this one. I would want your character witness there if I were the people who murdered Alex.
I mean, if punish the agents if they did something
the thing that happened 12 days before speaks to his character. It speaks to the fact that he was an organized protester. That's fair, but that's irrelevant.
No. It's not protesting when you're disrupting federal operations that are legal. You're now agitating. You're now.
It seemed like his disrupting.
He kicked the taillight out on the first day for sure.
Yeah, at least on the day of the death, he was yelling at them and filming. And then the way I remember it,
I mean, yelling.
Maybe just filming. Maybe I made that up. And then the ICE officers like two-hand shoved this woman and knocked her on her ass. And then my interpretation was that Pretti kind of white knighted the girl, like, wanted to help her up, wanted to keep you like, you can't do that to a girl. And they're like, the fuck we can't. And they gang tackle him and they start beating him and they disarm him and then they shoot him 10 times. And I don't see anything, even if you go back to the broken taillight, that justifies this Judge Dredd shit.
I mean,
no,
ideally he would not have been killed, but like the actual order of operations, it seems like he went in, started obstructing. He did.
I didn't see any obstruction.
Are you serious? He was standing between the person they were trying to detain and trying to keep officers away. So you have this
narrative that they're trying to detain him. What I saw was him and a woman were
none of this is in the realm of shoot him.
I saw. I don't think they were trying to detain that woman. I think that him and a woman were standing by the sidewalk and they hit her and he tried to pick her up off the ground. And then they said, "Oh, you want some too?" And they started beating and spraying him. And then they disarmed him, and then they shot an unarmed man in the back 10 times. That's what happened.
So what looked like, and that is what ended up happening, but that's 7 people around the guy. They're all there. He's on all fours. They know he's armed, and the guy who shot him couldn't see that he, no, because they saw the gun on him. That's how do you on the ground and how do you think they got him disarmed if they didn't know he was armed?
Because once they got him bent over on his knees, I'm answering your question. They didn't know it until they had him on the ground and they were beating him and someone saw the gun because it's hidden by his shirt.
So the ICE agent that disarmed him came by on the side he was armed and grabbed the gun out. Now I've seen theory because then that gun seemingly went off.
No, it didn't.
That's what some people are saying, but
I know. Yeah, there are some people who are putting AI on Alex and making him look like a party.
No, but that gun,
propaganda.
Well, there also is the AI. They're not even showing his real face on the news.
Doesn't that gun have faulty issues? That handgun? Yes,
it does. It goes off by itself sometimes, but it did not go off that day, and no one is alleging that it went off.
But basically, like imagine like he's down. The one ICE officer walked by and pulled, and it was a loud scene, but like. If you're going to blame someone, like blame the guy that disarmed him and clearly didn't scream enough, I have the gun, because I don't even think Pretti knew he had been disarmed because he was already maced. And then the ICE officer on the other side, who hadn't seen that he'd been disarmed, sees that he's reaching back towards where they now know a gun to be. And so, Are you serious?
But I feel like I could, if I were to accept every single thing Taylor said, we're not even close to a justified shooting.
No, I don't think he should have been killed. Like, I don't think that like you should, but, and some people take explaining a perspective on something to think that you are justifying it. And that's not what I'm doing. I'm explaining my perspective on what could have happened. No, I think that when you charge federal agents repeatedly and you demonstrate that you have a habit of this and you are armed, you invite you could show the video of Alex Pretti with his gun in every concealed carry permit class on earth, and it could be a lesson of exactly what we've all taken concealed carry permit classes. Half the class is telling you not to behave that way while armed, because even if you don't deserve to be killed, you invite the potentiality of violence when you are armed and being aggressive. You need to be more responsible.
Can someone link it? I didn't find it.
I think like even without looking at the video, breaking it down, there's a conversation closer here that can happen without frame by framing it. And it's like when you say, is he
thank you.
You say he's fucking with a federally lawful operation here. That is the foundation of the issue. Is who are these federal agents? Who are these people?
Taylor, you're fucking wrong.
Of course he is. Look at him charge at him, Woody.
Oh my goodness.
Look at him shield himself from the chemicals and the beating. He's asking for it. He's charging right at him.
Wow.
But this is federal agents and deadly force. That's the debate.